everyone, Phil Smith with Way Forward Podcast here at Ocala Comic Con with Alison Sealy Smith. Alison, how has your weekend been here so far?
Well, it is day one, and I am having an absolutely fantastic time. What makes these comic conventions absolutely wonderful to be a part of as the people.
Yeah.
The stories, the heartwarming, inspiring stories that you hear, being able to connect with people in a real way, that was an opportunity that we didn't have in the 90s. So that's what makes this experience so much more different, and I don't know. I just love it. It's really cool in a very tangible way, and the big difference for me is this ability to connect
Sure.
with our fans and to realize, literally for the first time, the impact that these characters and these stories have had.
Absolutely, and I'm sure you've been asked so many times about what it's like to have all these new fans coming into this show, or discovering it for the very first time. So just as me, as also a person of color who was, especially in the '90s, I'm in my 30s now, so growing up and trying to find shows that I could really relate to. What's that been like for you as far as the representation of Storm and people and little girls coming up to you and sharing, they see themselves in this character?
So amazing.
Yeah.
So amazing. And I mean, again, when you do it in the 90s, you understand deep down as a person of color how important this is. Because there was a lot less representation in the early 90s than there is even nowadays. And so even back then, you knew in your heart of hearts how important it was, but what you didn't have was the people actually coming up to you
Right.
and telling you. And I mean, I have a couple of stories that really brought home to me how important this was. There was a black woman and her daughter, and they came up, and and they were talking, and they were telling me how important it was for them to see themselves represented, and for the mother to be able to share that kind of representation with her daughter. And then she said, but this goes back another generation, because she said when she was growing up, her father was one of those very strict, very conservative dads, and I could empathize because I come from the Caribbean and my dad was very strict and very conservative. But he didn't want cartoons shown in the house. He thought that as a young black woman, that there were better role models for her to follow than some flying, leaping superhero. And they said, Dad, you've got to watch it, though. You've got to watch it. Don't do that. And so he came and he watched it. And when Storm came on, he said, oh,
Yeah.
because for him, it wasn't just about the raw power of this character. It was her leadership qualities. It was her gravitas, her dignity. And what she said was, my dad thought you were really classy, and so he let us watch X-Men. And I thought,
Amazing.
that's really cool. And something else I found out? I always, as a black woman, think of it as representation being important because, of course, as black people, we need to see ourselves represented on the screen with positive role models that we want our children to be able to emulate. But this white guy came up to me and he said, and I have forgotten where he was from. Was it Pennsylvania? It was rural, he said. It was whichever state he was from. It was very rural. He had never met black people. When he saw Storm, his first response was, I want to be on her team. And I want her to have my back. And it was his first experience of black people, and his immediate response was, that's the one. Out of all of them, that's the one that I want to have my back. A black woman. And I thought, wow, this stuff matters big time. And not just for us as people of color, but it matters for everybody that we have these kind of characters.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing those stories. I mean, this is just how important X-Men is to so many different people. So Allison, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything you want to let our audience know to look out for as far as on your end? Any projects? Anything else?
Well, I am waiting for season 3 of What If.
Mm.
Could be interesting.
Okay. All right. Take that for what it will. Allison, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.